Hello everyone, this is Eric at RC Monster Garage, and today what we got here is a time comparison of two different RC motorcycles. So on the left over here we have a probably 15 years old RC motorcycle, and this was the Venom Atomic Brian Diggin RC motorcycle. This was the last version before the factory actually burned down to the ground. If you don't know what happened, factory for RC and factory for LiPo should not be at the same place. Let's leave it at that. And then we got here the new Team LOSI from Horizon Hobby, and this is the new version. And I wanted to go over a little bit of the details between the two, a little bit of the sizing, and let's talk about couple different combination that I will do later to make this bike work better than that bike. And let's jump into what you got when you get it. The price is almost the same, to be honest. This is about $550 when you buy it with no battery or charger, and this was $550 when you bought it with no battery and charger. But when we look at details, let's go over some of the items that we got here, and later if you have any question you can put it in a comment, and if I have time I will answer. If not, I will just ignore it. Okay, so I'm just kidding. Let's look here. Wheel size. The old Venom, the wheels are much more impressive. They're like a little bit even bigger. So the bike itself is about, I would say, when you compare size, they're about like 10% bigger, I would say, something like that. But the knobbies was a little bit bigger. Obviously the bike was kind of manufactured in a little bit different scale. So when you got it, the plastic was actually the PETG material, the same thing that you have on RC cars and trucks. And then you could get a clear one and just paint it for whatever you want. Also the front wings on it, but it's arrived from the factory already with the gold colors suspension forks and the aluminum triple trees. Now when you get the new one, seeing that this is actually plastic and it's still aluminum forks on it, they're also nice. And this one coming with a brake system. On the one from Venom, this one, you do not have it, but you could have bought it later and there was no problem with it. Also the wheels over here I actually screwed on. It's actually have a bead lock all around them, front and rear, versus this wheel that it's a couple part wheels and it's hold but not as strong as those those wheels gone through like 50 feet in the air, crashed down, nothing happened to them. They're still, again, 15 years later, it's still good. Now when you look here on the back, this is the rear of the new and more modernized motorcycle, and this is, by the way, the fairing with the weird flipper here to put your battery. But when you look here and you concentrate on this part, you see that this hub here, it's done really nice. But the previous version here was having a couple trick up its sleeve. If you look very close, there was a little screw right here, and what it does, it's actually let you adjust the wheel the chain tensioner, and it will not go back or cause any kind of problem. Here you have a screw that only work on tension, so as long as it's closed and it's tight, it should just stay. Over here you could have adjusted, and there is small line, it's very hard to see because it's dirty. There's tiny line over there that you can count front and back, both sides, and then see how it's going to work for you, whatever you needed. You know, like if you want it to be even, if you want it to be a little bit tilt, so there's no problem to do that. Now one of the major thing that those two bikes having like as a difference was the gyro and location of the gyros. Let's go back a little bit before we get in there. Both bikes ran on gyro. The first version of this bike arrive with a mechanical gyro. So what will happen is the chain will turn in a very high speed and turn a gyro inside, and when the gyro inside will start turning, then it will grab the wheel and the bike will start running. Then they move to this system that the rear wheel, the entire wheel, have a brushless motor in it and with extra ESC, and it will accelerate to a very high speed, and then the bike will be very stable. And when you popped wheelie with it, it was working really nice, but a lot of time it will try to actually be more than the 90 degrees and flip backwards, and this was one of the issue. But if you learn how to control it, then it was okay. Also, the bodies on it, this is all this rubbery material that was very good, because when you crash, nothing happened. Here it's kind of the same thing, but it's a fabric on it, and it's make it look more realistic, and I really like it. It's actually pretty cool. Plastic wise, this is really cool because you can put stickers on it like a real motorcycle, so it's really nice. But I like this one also because you could have done more with this, paint it from the inside and have a little bit cooler system. Now to remove this, there was one pin over here. You pull it out and then you have access to a lot of stuff, ESC, and so it's giving you like the front radiator, and then you have small front radiator over there. Now some of the details that I saw that disappeared were right here. You see, this is a frame of a real motorcycle, like a Brian Diggin motorcycle, and this what make the bike look a little bit more realistic. And when you gone over here, suddenly you see that there is a big square, and you have those wheels over here to help with make the bikes more stable whenever it's flip or fall down sideways, and this will get some of the impact. Here they did something that was pretty much brilliant. They gone with a piece of metal, so when the bike was driving you could not even see that, and as soon as you came down, this grind on the floor and nothing happened, you know, you did not fall sideways. But here we have a big training wheel, and it's cool to help, but it's make the bike less appealing. Let's not call it ugly because it's not. Let's go with less appealing. Okay, now let's go around it real quick from the other side. So when you go to the other side of the bike, you got here the little muffler, and you got here the little muffler, and here those wires were going to run the rear gyro. So this is what those wires going to the back, because this entire rear is a motor. Over here you have a very cool wheel that it's a two-piece wheel, but what you got here is a hollow wheel. It's make it look really pretty, but if you will not gonna change this into metal, eventually it's gonna break to smithereen and you're gonna have a lot of damage. Also these parts, it's a little bit thinner than the rear swing arm that we got here. And then let's look at the shocks. Let's see if I can even see the shocks real quick on this one. Yeah, we have a regular basic shock over there. It's very hard to see, and this one came with something really cool because it was kind of, oops, let's close the light. It was already gold aluminum with the blue springs, so it was really cool. Now the way that those two bike ride is very different, because we got here a battery that going top to bottom. This where the battery seat and the gyro were here. Over here the gyro is right here in the center, and the battery sit here on the top, so you have kind of a little bit of a higher center of gravity. But right here, it's actually right there, actually hitting, I cannot even point. We have a big gyro that turn in the center of the bike, and what it does, it's have a lower gravity, center of gravity, so it's keep the bike down, so it's working a little bit more stable, and it's pop really a little bit nicer. And then I don't know about the next item that I'm gonna talk about, so we have to check. But the receiver that this thing come, I'm not sure if it's have a gyro in it. I think it does. I haven't looked into it if the gyro control anything to help pop in a wheelie and keep riding this in a wheelie. Now the steering here, You see the steering servo column right there, the silvery thing is just moving left and right, the steering. But here there was a little bit different mechanism. Let's see if we can see it. That's right there. There was a steering damper hook up with a servo. Let's move it to the other side, and you can see right now that you have this weird arm with a spring in. So this was a steering damper that was helping to counter steer and give you a very good result riding this motorcycle. So those two motorcycles pretty awesome, but you're looking at technology from 15 years ago versus brand new technology, and I wish there was a way to combine those two together, and this is what I'm gonna try to do in my next video. And what I did also, I purchased an entire system of a gyro and the ESC that run the gyro from the new LOSI bike to try to associate it with this motorcycle. And what I'm gonna do is, I have also a couple street motorcycles that I'm gonna try to put the LOSI gyro in and see if they're gonna be more stable when you take in turn in very high speed. Now, those two motorcycles also have option for supermoto. I have another video showing this bike with a supermoto everything, and we need to do the same for this and put both of them together. And of course they did it in a Yamaha, Honda and Kawasaki color. So they have on the new one, they will have the blue, red and green. This bike just came with a specific rider. It was for Brian Diggin, and they did another one before for another rider called Vince, but it was not as good as this. It was the previous version.